Having spent years in the pro-life movement, and now as a producer in Hollywood, I know the importance of lawyers. In fact, when I was graduating, I asked some lawyer friends of mine, I either want to get into media or be a lawyer, and they gave me this advice: hire a lawyer, don't be a lawyer. So if you're thinking of being a lawyer, David Hacker from Alliance Defending Freedom is your lawyer to stand for you.
Thank you. Well, it's great to be here. Everyone first needs to smile because we're going to do a selfie on Instagram. I want to get all of you. So check us out, Alliance Defending Freedom on Instagram. You'll see that later today, just something fun. But I also want to take a poll when we start here. We don't have a lot of time to talk about your constitutional rights. This could take, years, but we only have about 10 to 15 minutes. So we're going to be as quick as we can. But first, we have to take a very important poll, and that is, who has seen the movie Frozen? Come on, admit it. I know. Come on, guys. Guys, hands up. I know you've seen it. All right, well, yeah, the movie Frozen, I have a daughter. She's 4 years old. And so I've seen Frozen like a gajillion times. I know all the songs. I know the story by heart. If you come to our booth later, I'll tell it to you, if you haven't seen it. But did you know that Disney has sold like 3 million Frozen princess dresses? And that's actually the same number of 4-year-old little girls in America. It's pretty impressive. It's very impressive. And you're probably wondering right now, what on earth does this have to do with my First Amendment rights on campus? But Frozen is actually a great example, because in Frozen, we meet a character who we really like at the beginning of the movie. He seems really cool, he's kind of engaging, he's got that great personality, he's from the Southern Isles. And then later on in the movie, we're like, wait, what? What's this guy all about? He wasn't who he appeared to be at first. And it's the same thing with our public schools and public universities these days. When we think about public schools and public universities, we think about, hey, the marketplace of ideas, where I go to learn about things, where I can, freely exchange ideas with other people and test ideas, where I can champion the pro-life cause on campus. But unfortunately, these days, most public schools and universities are really just closed islands of intolerance. They don't want to hear ideas outside their secular, liberal, pro-abortion orthodoxy. And many public universities have policies on the books, and public schools do the same thing, that they actually want to restrict your ability to speak freely on campus. One of these is a free speech zone, and they're hugely popular on campus, and they sound wonderful. Who wouldn't like a free speech zone? But the problem is that free speech zones on campus are no different than Hans and Frozen, because they actually restrict you to one little box on campus and disallow you from speaking anywhere else on campus where you might have a better opportunity to engage your peers or have a great event. Another example are these trigger warnings. Has anyone heard of a trigger warning? Google it when you get out of here. Trigger warnings, these are very popular on campus nowadays. Faculty, staff, and fellow students, they'll actually send out an email or put up a sign telling students, hey, watch out, you might be offended by something on campus. It's even been used for English classes that teach the book Huck Finn and other classic works of literature. People have this attitude that they have a right not to be offended. But I can guarantee you the First Amendment protects your right to speak freely. There's no right not to be offended in our country. And so we're going to talk really quickly about 4 big things that public schools and universities do to restrict your rights on campus and how you can overcome them. Those are the speech zones that I just mentioned, the speech codes, which are basically the trigger warnings, student fees, because you all need to be getting student fees for your group to bring speakers and events to campus, and then policies that are intended to basically destroy your group from its very core by limiting who you can select as leaders. Because, you can't illuminate your campus with the pro-life message unless you know what your rights are and know how to defend yourself. So speech zones, real quickly. Basically, they're just putting you in a box. As I mentioned, they're policies that say you can speak in this one little area on campus. Sometimes it's a quad. Usually it's right next to the administrator's building, so they keep an eye on you. And that's where they want you to speak. And they say, oh, and oh, by the way, if you want to use that area, oftentimes they'll say, hey, you need to give us 2 weeks advance notice. And they always love to put these areas, or create these areas in such a way that it's almost impossible to get access to them. Last year, one of the Students for Life groups at the University of South Alabama contacted us because they wanted to do a cemetery of the innocent on campus. And they wanted to do it in this great...
Should be solo one, DJ Mike 1. Hey, hey.
They wanted to do it in this great... That's the voice of God, in case you're wondering. Just warning you. Anyways, they wanted to do it in this great area on campus that was like kind of like a park-like area. They're going to put these small crosses in the lawn. And what do you think the university said? No, that's right. They said, no, you can't do that. They said, you know what? That speech is too controversial for us. If you want to have that event, you have to go to our free speech area, which is right next to the student center, right where they can keep track of you. And that's the only place you can do it. And in fact, if you want to use that area, you have to get permission 3 days in advance. And schools love to do this. But think about it. If the Supreme Court, Lord willing, strikes down Roe v. Wade tomorrow or the next day or whenever, on most public school and university campuses, you could not go out and celebrate that same day. You'd have to get permission and then wait 2 weeks. I mean, it's frankly ridiculous. This is your community. This is where your friends are, where you live oftentimes. And so this university at South Alabama, it said no. And in fact, its speech zone was less than 1/100th of a percent of the entire campus. It was an extremely small area. And so this student group, this Students for Life group, just like your groups, contacted Alliance Defending Freedom, and we went to bat for them. We filed a lawsuit, and believe it or not, the university is fighting it. They are that bold and that intolerant of your speech. The next big thing are speech codes. And these are just weapons that the universities deploy to muzzle your speech. They don't want to hear your speech on campus. They'll often say speech that's offensive or insulting or hateful or bullying is not allowed. But what does that mean? And do we want a government official defining that? The First Amendment says no. Abolitionists for Life at Boise State University, they had the great idea of bringing a couple events to campus a few years ago. The first was they brought in the survivors of the abortion Holocaust, a fantastic display that really educated students on the horrors of abortion. And the other thing they did is they brought in Students for Life, the Student for Life display called What Has Roe Done for Us? And Boise State approved their request to do this and have these signs and flyers on campus. But they said, you know what, this is really controversial. And so you, Abolitionists for Life, you need to put warning signs around your event on campus, because heaven forbid students hear something that they think is offensive or that they might disagree with. Abolitionists for Life rightly said, no, we're not doing that. You can't compel us to say something we don't want to say. And when the university pushed back on them, Abolitionists for Life and Students for Life of America, they contacted Alliance Defending Freedom and me for help. And again, we filed a lawsuit to protect their rights on campus, and that case is also ongoing. But I'm confident that under the First Amendment, under the law of our country, that they will prevail in the end. The next thing are student fees. All of you need to be applying for student fees to bring events and speakers to your campus. If you haven't taken advantage of them, I encourage you to do so. But something that we are finding is that universities are saying, whoa, we don't provide funding for ideological activity. Well, what's not ideological on campus these days? And if you dig down deeper, you'll find that that they always fund the pro-abortion groups and the leftist groups on campus. They always get the money. But what about us as pro-life speakers and students? And so Students for Life at Eastern Michigan University ran into this same problem. They wanted to bring the Genocide Awareness Project to campus, a traveling photo mural exhibit of the horrors of abortion. And so they applied for funding to bring the exhibit, and the university said, no, that's too controversial, that's too biased. You can't possibly bring something like that to our campus. And we're not going to fund it in any sort of way. Well, it turned out we found out that they'd been funding all sorts of other leftist causes and stuff like that. And so Students for Life at Eastern Michigan University, they contacted us, and we, again, went to bat for them. And we filed a lawsuit and settled the case very quickly. The law is completely clear in this area on student fees and access to buildings and rooms. You all have equal access to those benefits of campus, whether it be rooms, student fees, other advantages and benefits that the university gives out to student groups. You have equal access to those things, and don't let anyone in the administration tell you otherwise. The last thing that we're finding is that universities are saying, well, you know, we're losing in court on all these issues where we try to restrict pro-life students. And so we're just going to basically destroy the group from inside. And so what they're saying is, a lot of the time, you as a pro-life student group, you can't require your leaders to agree with your pro-life message. That would be discriminatory. Really? I mean, it is laughable, really. But this is widely popular among administrators. They think that they have the right to say, no, you have to allow anyone lead your group. That would include the president of Planned Parenthood would have to lead an SFLA chapter. It's ridiculous. So if you run into problems like that, you need to contact us at Alliance Defending Freedom and let us know, because we can help you with that. The universities cannot do that. And so what I want to say in closing, and you just got the quickest First Amendment lesson you've ever had in your life, by the way. What I want to say in closing are just a few things. You have a friend at Alliance Defending. If you run into any problem, administrators, you can't do that, it's too offensive, you didn't get your permit in advance, you need to contact us. AllianceDefendingFreedom.org is our website. Our phone number, you can get it out at our booth, which I really highly recommend you come to, is 1-800-835-5233. And of course, work with your local Students for Life of America representative. We work very closely with SFLA, and we're so thankful for what they're doing to bring an end to abortion in America. And so contact them, and they'll put you in touch with us, or contact us directly, and we'll work with all of you to restore your rights on campus. But I don't want you to think to yourself, gosh, I don't know, that guy's a lawyer, and lawyers charge money, and I don't know, they're kind of intimidating. Okay, first of all of our services are free. People give to us so that we can do this. So if you, I mean, it's awesome. It's really awesome. If you contact us, you're not going to pay a dime. And secondly, you've got a friend. You just met me. We took a picture together. That means we're like best friends, right? So you can contact us. I have my business card. I'm going to be at our booth. Come get a water bottle. Come get a cool I Love the First Amendment button, some brochures. We love you guys, and we're so thankful that you're here. Please stand up for your rights on campus, because if you don't, nobody else will. Thank you.